the other question I often get asked is there like a flow chart? Is there a procedure in which I'll get a warning letter first, and then I might get a director penalty notice first, and then I'll get a garnishee notice? Whereas what we're seeing is the ATO have a number of recovery tools, and they can use those recovery tools at any point of time once there is an outstanding debt.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's certain factors about where a director is going to be liable and when a garnishee can be issued and when credit reporting can happen. But once you hit those marks, any of those recovery tools can be used. Voluntary payments, they're always helpful, but as we know, they no longer protect you from those recovery tools. And the only way to now be protected from further action is to be in a payment plan.
Yeah, it's funny. I've started calling them the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Because the ATO have four very, very onerous tools at their disposal, and they seem to be certainly the ones I've seen lately seem to be falling into the pattern of they do the credit reporting, and that's in order to the ATO say to get people to engage with them. Yes, but at the same time, it has huge impacts on the business in terms of funding, reputation, and all of that. If that doesn't get an outcome, then they issue a director penalty notice. So that then means the director's personal assets are on the line. If that doesn't get their notice, they issue a garnishee notice. And for those that don't know, that's a thing where they send it to either your bank or to your customers who might owe you money and say, don't pay Michael, pay us instead, and that gets rid of that debt. And if that fails, then, or if that doesn't get the debt paid, then they go to winding up. Now, I remember, as I said, I've been doing this a while, and when I first started doing this, they didn't have the first one, but they certainly had the other three. And to get from 1, 2, and 3 was usually around about 18 months, 2 years, 2.5 years. I had a client contact me from Perth. It was a signage company over there just before Christmas. And they, in a 6-week period, went from, they didn't get the credit reporting, interestingly. They went straight to director penalty notice, garnishee, wind up in 6 weeks. That's how quickly these things are happening.
And that's sort of where I was going, is that it's not a particular order. So if someone says, well, I'll wait till I receive this before something else happens, there is no specific order in which it may be followed. And so the people are effectively at risk of any of those recovery actions if they're not in a payment plan and not dealing with the debt.
Isn't it a funny thing, though? People saying, I'll wait until I get this really nasty thing that's going to change my life. Then I'll contact you. Then I'll do something about it.
And in a way, I can understand. I can understand how it can be really scary when you don't even know what the solutions are.
Yeah.
I can understand that you don't know where to start, or that you think you have to pay the whole amount. And so I suppose that's one of the great things with us, is that we do come in a bit like a shield between you and the ATO. We know what's possible. We are going to talk straight. We're going to tell you what's possible. We're going to tell you what we can achieve for you, where we might be able to push it a little bit, where the risks are, and that they don't have to talk to the ATO. We're doing that for them.
Yeah, and you're right too. This stuff is scary. I mean, it's kind of funny. It's almost like, because we're working in the ER department, so we see a bloody body come in, and normally you'd be shocked, but at the moment we sort of think. But it is the case that this stuff is, and there's a number of directors I've seen, and it breaks my heart, where they're so stressed and they literally haven't had a decent sleep for 12 months worrying about this stuff. And then you get into that sort of action paralysis thing where it's just too hard to deal with it, and so they don't, and it's the worst thing you can do. But I totally understand why people do it. It's tough, this stuff, and it's tricky. And anybody who's reading anything in the press around the ATO is reading all the doom and gloom, but what they're not hearing is the other side of the story, because, as we said earlier, there's no story in that. All they want to do is tell the horrible cases, but instead of going, but what about the other 99 over here that we're able to fix, or somebody was able to fix, the accountant was able to fix, and they're the ones we're focused on.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I think is so important, that there are solutions, a number of different ways that we can cut it up and get them the outcomes that they need.
Yeah, brilliant.